said first Jet win was a long time coming. I'll just say the game should not have been that close. Will Levis, and I've never seen this. Will Levis, year 2 young quarterback. His coach appears to not only be dissatisfied, he doesn't like him personally. He said after week 1, we should just punt. Yesterday, he's like, what in the blank are you doing? He doesn't like him. It's almost like the Will Levis criticism, the narcissism is rubbing the coach the wrong way, but that game should not have been that close. If you're a Jets fan, 2 things you have to be honest about, because there are good losses in this league. Cincinnati lost a good loss. At Arrowhead goes down to the end of the game, and they're bad wins. That's a bad win. 2 things you got to be honest about. Aaron Rodgers is no longer an elite athlete or a mobile quarterback, which is a big disadvantage in 2024. He doesn't move. He stays within a 3 to 4 foot radius. He can't and will not extend plays. He is an old quarterback that doesn't move. I said it last week. He's now closer to Goff and Kirk Cousins than he is Kyler Murray. That's what Aaron is. He is an immobile, expensive, older quarterback with a pretty ball. The second thing is this is an incredibly simplistic offense. Near the bottom in the NFL in motion. 2 years under Nat Hackett, they're a bottom 5 team in creativity. They don't run any motion. And all the well-coached offensive teams, San Francisco, Green Bay, Detroit, Miami, KC, run a ton of motion in different sets. Their offense is remedial. It looks like 1997. There's almost no motion. Now their defense, and this is a real problem, is falling apart. So C.J. Mosley, Jermaine Johnson. Now Hassan Reddick, you would think Woody Johnson, the owners would just write a check and get Hassan Reddick back because now your defense is falling apart. So bringing Aaron Rodgers to New York was viewed as saving the offense. No, it's not going to lose you games, but it's not saving anything. They cleared a bar, which was a limbo low. Last year, they were 31st in yards per play. This year, they're 19th. This is not an offense that can win by shootout. It's not. It's very limited. One of the worst OCs in the sport, no motion, old quarterback, expensive, and not mobile. That's what you are. You're a sprained ankle from Breece Hall to being a bottom 5 offense. There's nothing to it here. It can't fool anybody. And now you got an injury bug on the defensive side. So, Aaron Rodgers, I've said this, he seeks comfort. He wanted comfortable, and so he brought in Nat Hackett and Alan Lazard. But that's like going into business with your high school buddies. At some point, you got to go out of the building and get superstar players. Think about this. The first 3 possessions, this is with Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and the O-line's okay. Their first 3 possessions, those are the scripted plays. With Aaron Rodgers, the scripted plays, first 3 possessions. 4 yards and a punt, 7 yards and a punt, 4 yards and a punt. Go look at Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold. Go look at their first 3 or 4 possessions. Usually the way it works is you pick up at least some yards. You win the field position game, 3 first downs, you get it to midfield-ish, and then you punt them deep, and you start if you don't score. You kind of get some field position. I mean, maybe Tennessee's defense is that good. I don't know, but they have an offensive coach. And I don't see growth for the Jets offense. Why? Because growth comes with innovation. And this is not an innovative offense. So, the Saints basically have the same thing. An older quarterback, 1-star running back, 1-star receiver, good O-line, not special. And they got, what were they yesterday in the first half? 12 yards of play? The Saints are scoring standing up. They have a new offensive coordinator. If you watch the Saints, all sorts of movement. Different sets, different movement, making the defense think. So you can say what you want about the Jets. You got to be honest here. Forget the defensive injuries. This offense is just, whatever's below vanilla, that's what it is. Here's Aaron on getting his first W.
Yeah, it feels great. Been a long time coming. These are kind of the games you look back on late in the season and you're thankful that you won these because if we want to be a great team, we got to win in these type of environments against teams like that.
Teams like that? Titans are 0-2. And without being too personal, I think Will Levis may have the worst decision-making gene in the league at quarterback. His coach isn't dissatisfied, appears to resent him. And this puppy went down to the end. They had a chance to tie that puppy up. It's time, as your honesty broker, as America's honesty broker, you got to be honest, Jets, about what you have. A defense falling apart physically and a 1984 offense. J-Mac with the news.
No. Heard on the news.
This is the Herd Line News.
Let's not forget, Titans should have beat the Bears in week 1. It was like 17-3. And they were up 7-0 on the Jets going in for 14-0 when Will Levis kind of...
That's what I'm saying. This game, if you didn't watch the game, you're like, Jets won by a touchdown. I'm sitting there multiple times watching it going, what is going on? And you got to come out of the gate. You can't be 4 yards and punt, 7 yards punt, 4 yards punt.
Well,
the first drive of the game, again, it's one thing if you're facing the Niners.
But Monday night hangover, and then you got to go back on the road. So a little excuse, a lot of penalties. But I don't know if we could show the clip with when after Levis turned it over, Callahan, the coach, looks at him.
Oh, I know.
Pulls down his headphones and says, "What the bleep are you doing?" It's very clear.
They are. I would not be shocked if they benched him.
He actually, he made Sauce Gardner look bad a couple times. Maybe it was more Ridley, but Sauce Gardner had a bad game. He's off to a rough start. Jets defense, nothing to write home about. But also struggling are the Niners, Colin. They lose for the first time this season. Listen, Minnesota kind of boxed them in, and despite having one of the best rosters in football, a lot of errors and sloppy against the Vikings. Brock Purdy knows the team didn't execute like they're capable of.
It's as simple as executing. We got the players, we got the scheme, we got...
Live in Los Angeles, it's the Herd, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Yesterday was one of the wilder, especially the early windows, one of the wilder Sundays that I can remember. The league sometimes just doesn't make any sense. The teams we thought would be 0-2 or 2-0. The 2-0s are 0-2. It's why the sport is so great. Steelers are on top. Ravens, Bengals in the cellar. What is happening? J-Mac, 1 hour from now, where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. We'll get to Caleb Williams in 5 minutes. All these rookie quarterbacks are just bailing water, just trying to survive. But Kansas City does what Kansas City does better over the... it's like the Patriots handed the baton to Kansas City on how to win games late against rivals.
The lucky Chiefs, once again. Here we are, 2-0. Lucky Kansas. That's the only way to describe it, Colin.
Yes, that's what they said for 20 years on New England. Just lucky New England. They have officially the Chiefs become the New England Patriots dynasty. They just figure out way to win games. You're not sure they have the better roster. They make mistakes. Their star quarterback will throw an ugly pick. And in the end, they never beat themselves late. That's just like Brady in New England. High leverage moments. You got an A-plus coach, the best in the game. Belichick was in his prime, and so was Andy Reid. A-plus quarterback, best in the league in his prime. A-plus special teams and kicker. Defense always makes a play, but it's the situational stuff that Cincinnati, bad pass interference call, Jamar Chase blowing a gasket. That's not what the Chiefs do. Brady would throw pick sixes in the Super Bowl. And Mahomes he's had multiple ugly picks this season. But it's that pass interference penalty from a young defensive back. It's losing your cool, and that's what Kansas City doesn't do. They're the old boat captain, the seasoned mariner, able to sort of navigate choppy seas. And, high leverage, late game. I just never worry about it. The score's like... Do they need one score? How much time do I have left? Now, the Bengals at 0-2 are still a good team. They're going to get better because T. Higgins is coming back. Burton, the younger receiver, will get better. I think Cincinnati's really good. Not all of these 0-2 teams. Rams may be in trouble. I don't think the Bengals are in trouble. If they met Kansas City in the playoffs, I would not be shocked. But I know who I would take to win. Kansas City. And the scariest part for everybody like J-Mac that thinks, well, it's a very lucky team. Luck comes to the prepared, is that they're no longer highly dependent on Mahomes. It's the defense winning these games. Mahomes had his lowest career passing yards in a game, 151. He had 2 picks. He's thrown 3 bad picks this year. He's had other picks that were dropped or should have been picks. Kansas City's offense, by the way, completely dried up in the fourth quarter. There was just nothing left. There was nothing to it. I mean, Travis Kelce, outside of one big play, it was invisible. It's like the old Gronk. He was great when you needed him in January and February, but Gronk, as he got older, wasn't always there. So this is a crazy league. You got McVay 0-2 and Lamar Jackson 0-2, and Pittsburgh can't move the ball much, and they're 2-0. But here is one thing in this nutty league that's become incredibly predictable. When the